Hello, I'm Death's Arrow, and welcome to episode 2 of What I'm Thinking. In this episode, I will continue my exploration of the Ferdinand Tank Destroyer by reviewing 2 Platoon battles. A quick word on Platooning before I get into the replays. Playing with other players in platoons can be a lot of fun, and definitely give an advantage. While many consider platooning to be the win button, it's not always that easy. A platoon of good players coordinating over voice comms can certainly have a big impact on their team. But they're still only 1/5 of their team. And I don't care how good you are, you can't always overcome bad teams or bad tactical decisions. I personally didn't platoon for a long time. I ran something like 5,000 or 6,000 battles solo. Now I platoon about half my battles solo and the other half in platoons with my clanmates. I highly recommend voice comms for platooning. The clan I'm in uses TeamSpeak for voice comms, but the in-game voice comms are adequate for coordination. The first replay that we'll be looking at is from February 12, 2012 on Halluf, with me and my Ferdy platoon with Hallouf and his T-28 Tank Destroyer. I previously posted this battle on my YouTube channel a month ago, prior to the start of this project. Being an excellent example of teamwork, I couldn't help myself but recapture this battle to use in this series. Hallouf and I platoon fairly regularly. He's a good player. He's also a particularly good T-28 driver. Our play styles aren't always compatible, but we work fairly well together. This battle is an excellent example of that. As I mentioned, this replay takes place on El Halluf. This map is designed around a central valley with hills on either side, with the bases located on top of the hills. The map is pretty balanced, as neither side of the map has a particular advantage over the other. There are a few key areas on the map that are typically used in battle. The first is the ridge along the top of the hills. There tends to be a congregation of tanks that will snipe from the hills and utilize a combination of hard cover and bushes to protect themselves. The next key area is what I refer to as the beach. Often, there will be a medium rush in this area, as the cliffs at either side offer protection from sniping locations at the top of the hills. The last key area is the hill at A2, which is usually an area of contention, as this high ground is valuable for launching flank attacks towards the enemy base while having hard cover from the snipers along the ridge. The tendency on this map is to push mediums to the beach, and then a contingent of heavies push the hill at A2. You rarely see hard pushes across the valley, as there is little hard cover. One thing to note, in lower tiered battles, the typical map strategies that you see at higher tier battles get thrown out the window. Reviewing tank composition for this battle shows the following. Our platoon is top tier. The enemy team has a 3-man platoon of Type 59s, as well as more mediums in general. Our team has the high tiered firepower. The enemy team has more tier 6s compared to a number of KVs on our team. Artie is low tier and not much of a threat. I also don't notice any players or clans that I'm familiar with. The high number of mediums, and in particular the Type 59 platoon on the enemy team, indicates to me to expect a beach rush. Hallouf and I maneuver to the ridgeline to prepare for a potential rush. The enemy does what we've expected, a 59 rush. Oddly enough, a KV-5 joins their rush. We begin to put fire on the rushers. The KV-5 takes a lot of damage in the exchange, which is why slow heavies should not rush the beach. A check of the minimap shows that a substantial portion of the team has gone north and is engaging the enemy in the A2, A3 area. The enemy has pushed up the road at J6. Hallouf has moved to engage them. I moved to join him. Side by side we take on the enemy, with the rocks to our left. We have some cover from Artie and snipers in this position. Both of these enemy tanks will have issues penning our front armor. A 59 makes an unwise move and charges. He's quickly put down. The remaining 59 is quickly dispatched. No need to hold back here. He's in retreat and has no support. Artie has been dropping shells all around us and actually set Hartikon on fire. Normally I don't worry about grills, but this guy is no joke. Another check of the minimap reveals that the northern flank is crushed and we're down 4 tanks. We turn around and move into position to take them on. I take up a defensive position with the rocks to my right to protect me from snipers and Artie. A VK-3601 is the first enemy spotted. He's playing it smart by moving into a flanking position to try and distract me. A second VK-3601 is spotted over by the hill up from the northern flank. No time to deal with the flanker without exposing my side armor. Very quickly, the rest of the northern enemy force is spotted and is comprised of a KV-5, a low, previously noted VK-3601, and a jumbo. We begin to exchange shots with them, again, side by side. The enemy is in a hull-down position, which would be an issue for a lot of tanks, but not ours. We can punch right through the front of the KV-5's turret. The VK-3601 is trying to distract me again. I take the bait and get tracked as Hartikon gets taken down by Artie. Later discussion reveals that he was set on fire twice. Again, this grill is no joke. I'm in a decent position even though I'm under heavy fire. Once my track is repaired, I make another attempt to take out the flanking 3601, but he tracks me again. Rather than wait for the repair to complete, I use my repair kit to get out of trouble, then quickly turn and dispatch the 3601. Without Hartikon, I'm not going to be able to keep trading shots with the enemy, so I make an aggressive move along the hill to move into a flanking position on the remaining enemy forces. I get into flanking position without getting shot in the back by a KV, and before they can react, I knock out another 3601. I now begin to work down the low and jumbo, popping up, taking my shots, angling my armor as much as I can, and backing down the hill while reloading. After a few exchanges, I'm able to knock the jumbo out. I get a bad roll on the low and leave him with 4 hit points. Luckily, he misses his last shot, and his next shot does 0 damage. I move in for the finishing blow and get a 0 damage critical on his track. Artie knocks him out seconds later. At this point, the enemy forces are just about finished. I turn around and move into the valley. I spot the grill that tormented Hartikon. I stop, line him up, and get a lucky kill after he disappeared from view. I keep pushing towards the enemy base in case, but this one is over quickly enough. Looking at the victory screen, it was a pretty impressive effort. I made top gun and earned a bolter's medal with 7 kills. Also, damaged 4 other tanks, which means that I damaged 11 out of the 15 enemy tanks in the battle. A 2000 plus XP battle on premium is a great effort. I also received steel wall. Steel wall tends to be more luck than anything else. It all depends on if your armor decides to bounce. Overall, we made a good tactical choice early on to anticipate and wait for the beach rush. This put us in a good position to damage the rushers and then intercept and destroy them as they came up the hill. Once the northern flank was crushed, the next move was clear: defend base. After Hardacon died, I made a bold move to take on the remaining enemy attack force. I got a little lucky by not taking fire from that KV or Artie. While Artie didn't hit me, he did a number on Hardacon. I certainly underestimated the capabilities of that grill driver. The replay that we'll be looking at next is a true elephant pack of Ferdies on Arctic region from March 19th, 2012. In this battle, I am platooned with Jovial Madness and Gyarados, both great players and excellent Ferdy drivers. This battle is another great example of the power of platoon coordination. As I just mentioned, this replay takes place on Arctic region. Oddly enough, the game engine calls this map Mannerheim Line. If you review the replay folder, assuming you have replays turned on of course, you'll notice that many of the maps have different names from the ones listed on the loading screens. This map, as the name implies, is a winter map. It has limited routes of attack and has mostly hard cover rather than soft cover like bushes. Base 1 has a slight advantage over Base 2 because of its higher elevation. Otherwise, Base 2 has better defensive and artillery position. The tendency on this map is for a heavy push on the south road and then a medium heavy push along the northern route, with the hill at A5 being a major area of contention. Because of the sniper locations near each base that overlook the middle of the map, you don't tend to see much action in the middle. Occasionally, a scout will run down the hill from Base 1 through the center, utilizing the downhill slope to gain speed. Reviewing tank composition for this battle shows the following. Our platoon is top tier. We have superior tier 8s. The enemy has more tier 7s, including 3 T20 mediums, which aren't that scary to a Ferdy, but could be trouble if they pack up. The enemy team also has 2 tier 5s to our 4. There is no Artie, which always makes pub players happy. Also to note, the enemy team has a lot of mediums, which could cause trouble for a Ferdy, assuming they know how to utilize that advantage. The low on the enemy team is in Red Sky, a good clan. I don't recognize the player's name though, so he's pretty much an unknown quantity. We're starting at Base 2. We have a brief discussion and decide that we should go north and take down a potential medium rush. We can always loop back and take care of a southern push if it comes to that.
Time to roll out.
As a point of clarity, Gyarados' Ferdy doesn't have camo. Jovial Madness has the same desert camo as I do. Admittedly, desert camo looks silly on a winter map, but it's not like we can change it or anything. Gyarados is out front and runs into a T20. The enemy is almost knocked out before a second T20 is spotted. As the first T20 is dispatched, 2 more T20s and a T44 are spotted. While this would be a problem for a single Ferdy, it's just fresh meat to the elephant pack. We advance around the corner and begin to put fire on the mediums. What you're seeing is utilization of our mass firepower to keep the enemy in front of our group. A T20 tries to break past, but gets wrecked before he can get around. The mediums are backing off as we advance. They know they are in trouble. We continue to push and pick them apart. I get stuck between the T20 wreck and a hill, which causes me to fall slightly behind my platoon mates. We also spot a Tiger 2 on the hill ahead. He's likely alone and not much of a threat.
Critical hit.
The mediums that we were engaging are all knocked out now. Looking at the mini-map, there are 2 mediums at E3 and 3 heavies in the south that are pushing towards our base. We make a decision that one of us needs to turn back to base to stop the enemy team. I volunteer as I'm slightly behind my platoon mates. They continue on to engage the Tiger 2 while I turn back. As I come up the middle road, the Tiger 2 is backed off and is sniping my rear from A5. This could have gotten ugly, but my platoon mates are taking care of this threat. team converges and kills the Type 59 before I can get in position to fire. Rather than take the 2-column route back to base, I turn around and take the 5-column. I take this route for 2 reasons. First off, our team has a 2-column route well covered. Secondly, while going 5-column could be potentially dangerous from snipers at base 1, the potential for a flanking crossfire will make it easy to wipe out the enemy push. There also aren't any dangerous snipers left at the enemy base, as the low is in the south and the Tiger II is being engaged by my platoon mates. As I move south, I get great flank shots at the enemy. While I don't necessarily need to flank, the enemy is distracted and I am at 37% health. Not one-shottable, but those tanks could kill me if they focused on me.
They're knocked out.
As my platoon mates reach cap, I keep pouring fire down on the enemy and rack up more kills in the process.
Enemy armor is destroyed.
The remaining low finally turns to engage me, but it's too late as I knock him out to finish the match.
They're knocked out.
Looking at the victory screen, the impact of our Ferdy platoon is clearly evident with 10 kills for the platoon. I snagged 5 of them myself. 1,466 experience, undoubled, is a good battle. This platoon being what it was, we pretty evenly split up the damage done. I had a few more opportunities as I went back to base to engage the enemy's southern push, while my platoon mates pushed on to the enemy base. Overall, we made a good choice to go north early to engage a potential medium rush on the north flank, which we quickly crushed. The decision mid-battle to split one of the Ferdies off to go back to base was also a good tactical choice. We would have been hard-pressed to make it back if the base defense fell. Making that decision early allowed me to engage their southern forces from an advantageous flanking position. I likely made a poor decision to break off when I did and exposed my rear armor before the Tiger II was killed, as he got 2 hits off on my rear. While the Ferdy doesn't typically die to ammo rack explosions, there was a potential to set my Ferdy on fire from those hits, which would have been disastrous. Thank you for watching this episode of What I'm Thinking. Stay tuned for another episode soon. In the next episode, I will be moving on from the Ferdinand to look at the often misunderstood VK 4502 OS-B.